How's it going, everyone? And for all listeners that may or may not be listening to us, please do not inform the FBI where I live for the exact opposite reasons of Doc Dead. It's not a character, folks. The FBI is after me.
Oh.
This has been the PSA.
Okay.
You know,
FBI
saying that's more likely to get you in trouble.
Shh, that's the plan. They don't know about the front yard.
Front yard?
What?
Don't worry about it.
You mean where the Mexicans hit your letterbox?
Yeah. Do you want to trudge through a Mexican that might back over you after he's going to help the neighbor? No, I don't think so.
Well, now that we're all going to jail.
Welcome to another episode of No Excuses on YouTube.com, where we actually are all here and not all dead except for the extreme amount of pain I'm in.
I'm dead on the inside. And it's taken you, 3 seconds to it? Well done, that's a new record.
Oh, I can beat that easy. You want me to speedrun it next week?
No.
I think this is a high score we don't need to beat.
Ick.
Yep.
I haven't even introduced myself yet. We never made it far enough through the introduction to get to me.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, we didn't make it far enough through the introduction to get to you.
No, we didn't.
What's your favorite show host? Sorry, still.
Marion.
And Vaul, I'm here to bring the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week, although I feel like we hardly ever do that these days. Though that's not entirely our fault, just mostly our fault. But if you'd like to get involved with the show and perhaps get us back on the rails, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, which is the best place to communicate to the hosts of the show and other listeners to the show, and to post your spicy memes and the other sorts of things that will attract the attention of the three-letter agencies and other authorities. You can do so by clicking on the link provided in the show description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
When
We're
I
so far off the rails already, they may as well be on.
when I die and get to heaven, I want to know whether or not it is considered a good deed to be placed on a three-letter agency's list, and if I've got a high score. Because at this point, I'm going for the gold. I just don't care anymore.
Three-letter agent, glow so bright.
Alright, just a heads up during the technical issues that have been popping up last few weeks. I'm thinking my mic might be on out, but it doesn't seem to be affected. I don't know what's going on. Maybe
Yeah, we can. This is a problem that we have been unable to detect in real time, which is why it has been happening, as has been reported by listener. So because of that, because it's coming through fine on Discord, it doesn't seem like it's a hardware issue, unless that hardware happens to be in Fern's router. But yeah, we can only really solve this problem by trial and error. Because we don't have enough information, really, on what characterizes its occurrence.
Yes. I'm going to be sitting here like some sort of disturbing chameleon creature, watching maybe a dozen different things at once. So adding a new line to watch has given me something new to eyeball. I need more eyeballs. What are we doing?
Main scenario.
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
You need the EXP, right?
I mean, yeah.
If you have to think while tanking Praetorium, we need to sit down and have some tank training.
This is fair, actually, because
If you just stand there and do nothing, you should be fine.
Just hit the AoE button once so that Vaul doesn't fall asleep. We'll be good. Actually, maybe if you just neglect the AoE button so all the DPS, all the mobs are running everywhere, Vaul might actually stay awake.
challenge mode. I'm not going to press the grid button.
Please press the grid button. Ooh, I like this bunny's glamour.
There's a nice glamour. Compared to me, who is just Edge. Speaking of Edge, I did a little bit of playing around with Reaper this week. Not a whole lot, just mostly to unlock the class. I'm trying.
Do not read the ability names. Do not read the ability names. Do not read the ability names. They will just confuse you.
Even the tooltips confuse me.
Yeah, they are.
I can't make head or tail out of how it's supposed to actually function.
Yeah, this is a class you are supposed to push the buttons and figure it out as you go. because you will just get confused reading all the tooltips. It is the only class in the game where I will tell you don't read your tooltips.
Yeah. And we'll take him over here. Come for a walk, everyone.
Don't take them out of my Doton.
Doton is live. Doton is live. And
It's actually the appropriate time to use Doton.
yes. Doopy-doop.
So yes.
Alright, so
Burn.
this week has been, we've all been busy this week in various ways. For me, it's been kind of the home stretch to my sister's wedding, so yay! It's all been arts and crafts and stuff.
Wedding prep sounds like a nightmare.
It is. There's so many little moving parts, and there's people who you've got to kind of follow up on, make sure they're coming, who's not coming. And every wedding has someone who's got to inject their drama in it because reasons.
Yeah, I don't really understand why people don't see it the same way that they see things like, oh, the commodification of Christmas, the commodification of Easter. Like, I feel like that weddings have gone way beyond the point of a wedding at this point.
Some of them have, yeah. But thankfully, she's keeping it small-esque. It's only like about 50
Fern,
people.
I'm pulling the next pack because you're not.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to do too many things at once. This is what happens.
Keep them in the Doton.
Where is the Doton? There is the Doton.
Oh, don't mind me, I just rabbited.
Ah, Bunny of Failure.
So yes, I'm playing Ninja because I just kind of picked a class. I actually what I did was, what glamour do I feel like wearing today?
There you go. These are the
And which one already has one set up?
I'm playing as Scholar because that's what I logged off as.
Oh boy, this was a terrible idea.
This is the last trash pack in the whole dungeon. You're fine.
That's true. We got the magic.
We got nap time.
Nap time, and then the whole monologue. So yeah. As far as gaming and nerdy shit this week, did a little bit of Reaper, but it's mostly just to unlock the class. I haven't done a whole lot beyond that. It's get it all set up and realizing just how edgy that class is. Like, Dark Knight is edgy, but Reaper is in a league all of its own.
Yeah, I couldn't like it. Like, I was able to quite happily play old school Dragoon back when it was a huge mess. Like, I really liked the class. I still like the class now, but I couldn't like Reaper because I couldn't work out what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I think everybody keeps telling me, oh, it's super simple, but every time I try and play it, I just get confused.
Yeah, I think Reaper and, to another degree, Sage both start at maybe too high a level. There's just too many buttons right from the get-go.
Well, the problem is, they don't space their buttons out enough across the levels, so anything pre-70 feels awful.
Yes.
And Reaper, mechanically, if I don't remember the names of anything, so don't ask me what ability I actually mean.
Something edgy.
You get red juice. You turn red juice into blue juice. You get 50 increments of 50 in blue juice, and you spend that juice on the Super Soul mode, and you spam all your buttons, and you end it with Communio. And then you're out of Reaper mode. And then you get more blue juice by spending red juice, and you repeat.
Yeah, basically what you do is you charge up, and then you pull your Devil Trigger.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I can't stand the class aesthetic. I hate the class aesthetic. I can't. It's too edgy and too just. Ugh.
Yeah.
But that's what the people who like it like about it in a lot of cases.
This is why I've dyed mine pink and have a big pink chainsaw.
Yeah.
She has a big poofy dress or skirt and a few little weird bits and bobs on it, high heels, and a big pink chainsaw.
Yep. And it looks actually quite silly, and it's great.
I love playing the class. When it finally clicks with you, it has that new class feel to it, where everything just works.
Hmm.
A lot of the newer the class is, the more the less
Excuse me.
the less expansion vomit there is in it.
Well, it's more that it was designed all at once under a single philosophy of design, as opposed to being repeatedly updated to try and take what previously existed and conform it to a new design philosophy.
Yeah. Gunbreaker's like this to a lesser extent. While a very busy class, all of its buttons feel natural.
Yeah. Summoner also feels that.
So it's the opposite of Paladin, where everything feels like it was retrofitted.
Yes.
Yep. Well, Paladin now, once you figure out what to do, I was overthinking Paladin. It's too simple.
Ugh.
I bet it's not at like top Savage or whatever. There's probably some finicky bullcrap.
Yeah, there's some finicky, weird potion weaving timing and sitting on your atonement charges. But at casual play, it's too simple.
Yeah. I don't have leap, my gap closer. I miss my gap closer. Even for a giant farting robot. So yeah. Haven't really delved too deep into that just yet. It's just there. I did manage to get my brother through the door at least, and his account is a mess, honestly. He joined or rejoined at one point where he was part of some promotion. He ended up with a level 70 character, so he got his Paladin up to level 70, even though his quest or his main story progression is somewhere around Leviathan. But he was able to unlock Sage, and he's been actually poking a little bit at that. So yeah, might be getting him a little bit away from WoW, because WoW is bad for you.
I say this every time we talk about Final Fantasy and WoW comes up. My life is so much happier with anything other than WoW in it.
Yeah.
And you can't explain this in words to, especially somebody still stuck in the WoW machine.
Yeah. But it's been interesting because it's the way basically the dungeon philosophy is completely different between the two games. At this point, like WoW is still using a lot of the old kind of way of doing things, where it's about pulling packs and hiding around corners and line of sighting everything. Final Fantasy, it's more about telling a story. And it's great.
Well, if you're talking mechanically, Final Fantasy's dungeons do not care about the trash at all.
Yeah.
Barring a few very
You took it. The trash is the only thing I care about. Like, it's the bosses that I can ignore as a healer.
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
as a healer for incoming damage, they do have that problem. But
the trash packs, on the other hand, are terrifying.
Mechanically, the trash packs have one gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rough gimmick. No, they hit really hard.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is all just about do you damage on the boss and learn how to do the dance.
Yeah.
Do you damage?
But I watched a little bit of footage of him playing through one of the mythic dungeons. I forget how many badges he was up to now, because that's all super confusing, and most of them are terrible. But
badges,
or whatever they call them, crests or keys, whatever. It's basically puts a modifier on the dungeon, which should add some sort of really obnoxious mechanic.
Oh, the Mythic
right,
Plus
Mythics.
mechanic.
You mean the game, the famously one of the most toxic games communities in the world?
Yes.
The Mythic Plus.
Mythic Plus.
The Mythic Plus
But,
people.
Honestly, the dungeon he was running, I thought it came from Burning Crusade. It just looked.
Well, do you know that it didn't?
Maybe.
Because Mythic Plus has a lot of historical dungeons added to it as well.
Yeah, apparently it was one of the new ones, but it was basically indistinguishable. It's like you're tromping down a corridor. There's some bad guys. Go kill their ass.
Oh, like Burning Crusade side dungeons tended to be really long and sprawling.
Yeah,
There's a lot of alternative things you could do.
But
don't forget things like how long it took to do a run of Shadow Labyrinth.
Oh, Shadow Lab.
That was an hour and 20-minute project minimum.
Yeah, Shadow
I
Lab.
enjoyed it. It was I liked it. Like, this was the sort of content I was there for, because you still have to pay attention and things can still go horribly wrong, even though it's only 5-man content, 5-man dungeon content. People didn't like it because you were incentivized to grind over and over and over and over, not because the content itself was bad.
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, it was just the whole thing for me was watching a mess of like a UI constantly exploding because mods are essential in that game
Instead of the button.
instead of a button. So yeah, it was like chase the giant floating nipple, and that's how you do the dungeon. And
So like main scenario roulette before they made the cutscenes mandatory.
yes,
If anybody remembers that era, where if you were the new guy, you would just run flat tack the entire time to try and keep up with the group and never succeed.
yes, and woe betide you if you wanted to watch the story. And it's just I just saw absolutely nothing appealing in that at all. So,
Why is there a double cutscene trigger here still? Why isn't this all one thing that just dumps us at the boss gate?
Because
Also, behold,
Maybe they had a reason.
no reshade will save you from the lighting in this cutscene.
Really, it looks okay with mine.
looks fine for mine so far.
Mine looks awful.
Yeah, the textures on my armor look horrendous though. But some armors just like that. They just look awful.
I think mine is okay. I think mine is okay. In fact, this was the scene that I used to set up my reshade.
Ah.
That explains why your bloom's so effed up.
That could be the case, but yes, I did all of my reshade was calibrated using Praetorium and particularly this conversation, because this conversation has the most amount of contrast of light and shade and bright colours and dull colours all at once.
It's also super long and boring.
You've got a huge amount of time to make adjustments and do comparisons, and it's also during the generation of like the worst intrinsic capabilities of the engine that still exists, so it seemed like the fertile ground in order to get the calculations right to maximize the effective reshade on the game.
If you look in live show chat, I posted what my character looks like in this cutscene.
I don't even know how to take a screen cap anymore.
Windows key shift S. Click and drag.
Oh, you want me to use the snippet tool?
That's how I take all my screenshots.
It is a good tool.
It is a great tool. I use it all the time, but it's not normally how I take screenshots in games.
Yeah.
I ran into a problem with Discord on the phone where I'd have to crop all my images. I'll talk about it on my week, actually. That's good week content.
Yeah. Other stuff this week I did while we're sitting through a long, boring cutscene. I played a bit of Stranger of Chaos Paradise. Chaos!
Oh, you got it too?
I got it too, and it is actually a lot of fun.
Did you
kill
have
Chaos?
the same...
You gotta kill Chaos.
Yeah, did you kill Chaos?
Gotta kill Chaos.
I
haven't
hear
killed
that.
Chaos yet.
I hear that it's regarded in that setting as quite important to kill Chaos.
Yes. There's actually a cutscene a few missions in where the king is saying, well, Chaos isn't a real person, it's kind of more of an idea. And Jack looks like someone just kicked his puppy. It's great.
But I was gonna
And then after
kill Chaos.
Yeah. And after looking like he's having an existential crisis for a minute, he just says, no, you're wrong, Chaos is a person, I'm gonna kill him.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Exactly. Now, granted, it's based on Final Fantasy 1, which has the plot of basically Garland has gone rogue, he's become the embodiment of chaos, get MacGuffin, go kill. That's the plot. But, yeah. They've had a lot of fun with it.
Jack! We gotta kill Chaos, Jack!
Yeah. You pick up a fourth party member not too far in, and she's not of the kill Chaos thing. She's like, Chaos is an idea, even though she decided to become Chaos because reasons. Don't ask me many questions.
She didn't do a very good job of it, though.
No, she was quite crap at it, actually. So it's like, you have Jack's party of Jack, the Bishy, and the big guy, and then you have normal people. Which is basically everyone else.
Are they all jonesing to kill Chaos as well?
No.
Yes.
Well, the
no,
party members are, yeah. Not quite to the same degree that Jack is, but yeah. So, yeah, you just don't even take the writing seriously, even remotely. It's just no.
Yeah, this is what I meant last week. It's just kill chaos.
Just kill chaos.
I can see them trying to take this story in a fun way, and I both do and don't hope they do. Where they go, no, Jack and his crew are just screwed in the head.
Yeah.
And this is the story.
Just waiting for Warrior of Light to actually turn up and say, no, this is my story. Get out. But, yeah. Apparently, if you get the season pass, you get the Warrior of Light's armor, which is basically means Warrior of Light running around saying, oh, God, kill chaos. But yeah, it's not overly complicated. It's basically heavy attack, light attack combo.
Reading the positional. I had to inform Vaul that I was going to take damage.
Why? You expect me to heal you from it? Because I'm not going to.
Oh no, my health bar moved.
You can appeal to EOS if you want any healing, because I'm not going to be doling any out. Maybe if it benefits me personally, I will. But otherwise, you just have to deal.
There. It's a fun game. It's dumb, and I actually really like that it's dumb. Multiplayer's a little bit jank though, because the whoever's in the host of the session plays Jack, and then every other player will take one of the other party members, and it basically just puts you in command of them and gives you Jack's commands. It does tend to do things like prioritize Jack doing execute commands on enemies. But it's a minor thing, and there's some things like the wall sphincters which you need to smash open. Only Jack can open them.
Wall sphincters.
I don't know what else to call them because they are wall sphincters. They are a sphincter on the wall.
They're a butthole that Jack sticks his hand deeply inside.
It's like half the doors in the latter end of Doom 1 are like that, aren't they?
Yes.
And then Jack squeezes his fist really hard, and the butthole explodes.
And in some cases, literally in Jabu Jabu's belly.
Yes. They are literal sphincters in Jabu Jabu's belly.
It could be worse. It could be Elden Ring, where the number one method of dealing with enemies is shove your hand up the butt.
Sword goes in butt.
Yeah, any handy pointy object will be usually placed directly and vigorously inside the rectum of the opponent.
Yes. This is what happens when you make a backstab animation for a regular character and then make everyone else 2 feet taller than your player character. It just goes in the butt.
So, the gameplay is Neo. Was my conclusion playing it.
It does.
It feels like Neo. It walks like Neo. It talks like Neo. It's Neo.
Yeah.
Even the loot system is like Neo.
The loot system seems kind of just like it's there. It's there to annoy.
Yeah, it's the biggest failing of the game.
Yeah.
In Neo, you knew what you were signing up for with that, and the game was designed around it.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, it very much so is not.
Yes. You basically touch the button. Basically, you go into the menu at the end of a mission, you press optimize, and then you can ignore everything else. There is some mechanic in there where you can upgrade your gear and all of that, but I haven't found that it changes anything.
Yeah, but there are like 50 classes.
There are like 50 classes. You start off with your base tier ones, they grow up into the tier 2 ones, and then they grow into the tier 3s.
Well, they don't grow like that. They grow outward. You start with like 10 base classes that all branch off into 2 classes that all branch off into 1 or 2 more.
Yep. There's a couple more coming in the DLC as well, which adds gun. Interestingly, samurais can use guns, which is kind of interesting. So there's that. But yeah, it's just like you got your tree, you spend your points, and then when you reach the bottom, you get a credit towards the next class. You unlock all the credits, and you can unlock that class. each class kind of has a little bit of a unique mechanic, but not really enough to make a huge difference in some cases.
It's mostly just its basic attack and how it swings the weapon.
Yeah, and whether or not you can charge your attacks or not. Or magics, if you can use magics.
Yeah, I don't like the magic classes in that game.
Yeah. Black Mage is
Can you go?
fun.
Can you just go full retard, stand in the back, never move out of your ley lines, Black Mage?
No. Because Jack
That's not
tends
how
to
you
be
Black
the
Mage,
tank.
though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see how that would get in the way of killing Chaos if you just stood in the back.
Yeah. I mean, you stand at the back, you can still kill Chaos. But,
Which, as we know, is the most important thing at the end of the day.
yeah. Particularly in bosses, though, I've found that if you're playing as Jack, you're the tank. Even if you're the Black Mage, you're a tank. Because
Yeah, the boss will.
the boss will go
The
after
bosses
Jack.
have Monster Hunter AI, but they prioritize the player.
Yeah,
Yeah, what if you've got other players controlling the other characters?
they still prioritize Jack.
Why?
Reasons. They'll swat at the other characters, but yeah, they'll swing at Jack more often than not.
Don't you know
No.
you kill the medic first?
As far as I know, there is no white mage.
Yeah, there is. You can play White Mage.
Oh, can you play white mage?
Yeah, you can. You end up throwing Holy all over the place.
So it's the same as an FF14 then.
Largely, yeah.
Spam holy.
Spam Holy. But yeah, aside from a few quibbles and the fact that the thing is 90 freaking gigs, it's a fun game.
Yeah, that was an overnighter.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gigs.
That's a lot of gigs.
I didn't buy a very big hard drive.
Yeah. That's almost.
I didn't
as big
really
as Ark.
factor that in. Because I was like, oh, I won't buy such big hard drives. Or I won't buy such a mass number of big hard drives on this build because I don't really archive media anymore since streaming is now a thing. But, yeah, I forgot that games are ballooning outwards at a retarded rate.
It's getting a bit ridiculous, yeah.
Just imagine Final Fantasy 16 when it finally comes to PC.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah.
huge.
I would like to say in advance, though, because I know that Ari is, to my surprise, somewhat hyped for it. I'm trying to avoid being spoiled on it, including like looking at too much media. So
Okay.
try not to be too spoilery if possible.
I haven't
Okay.
been looking at a whole lot either. It's like it's coming, and it's I know
I-
the themes.
sort
but
of-
that's it.
I sort of want to have the chance to experience it totally fresh.
Yeah.
Like when it's something like, say, an MMO, it kind of behooves you to look at as much media as possible before getting into it because you kind of want to know what you're getting into when you're going to be spending 500 hours minimum playing it.
And you don't want to be the load-in group content.
Yeah, and I don't play autistically like Aristeel, and I lost probably about half of my hours on FF14 because it didn't used to be on Steam, and so they aren't recorded. But I do still have like 3,000 hours clocked on Steam, and that's a lot of investment for something that you aren't really sure if you're going to like or not, type of thing. But when it comes to a regular RPG, I sort of like to just go in totally blind with no idea what I'm getting in for to get that sort of fresh experience vibe.
Yeah.
I actually, if a title seems appealing to me, I usually avoid any particular media on it.
Yeah. Like if it's a Final Fantasy game, there's certain things you can expect to see in it, but even then, you're going to see different spins on them. So, yeah, that's how I'm going to treat 16. Is I'm going in largely blind.
But I have, I mostly watched the last live letter. But I'll talk about that later in the news section. But the thing I was pointing out with your comment on size, the game looks very pretty, and that thing's gonna be like 160 gigs.
Oh yeah. I know I probably don't need necessarily to hit my cooldown or tanking cooldowns here, but I'm going to hit them anyway.
Well, I keep accidentally healing myself whenever I go to heal you, so
That's part of the reason. I've seen you doing that.
yeah.
Oh dear.
It's because I'm like, oh, I need to target the tank, but the tank is F1 because I always play warrior, so I keep targeting myself.
Alright. Doopy-doo. That's largely been my week. I haven't really even watched a whole lot of anime. Oh, there's a soft spot. There it is.
There was one other thing you did this week, very briefly with me.
Very briefly, because we only had a few minutes' time, and that is playing... we're playing Crabs with Guns.
Yep.
Which everyone seems to be playing lately.
Well, it's cheap, and it's on Steam, and it got headline promotion.
Yep, and it's fun.
It is a very dumb roguelike game. You're a crab, you run around, you get power-ups, you do flips and shit.
Yep. You're a crab with gun, and that's it. That's the plot.
And yeah. Just sploosh on this guy's.
Sploosh this guy's.
Okay.
Yeah. For a $10 game, I've gotten my fun out of it already. Just by doing a few rounds, having a little bit of fun, shooting some enemy crabs.
Yeah, we did a full biome clear. We did all 3 of the currently available biomes. I'm interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Especially because it's made by one guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to me like it's going to be one of those flash in the pan meme games that everybody forgets about.
Oh yeah. It's got
the general populace, yeah, but it's got growth.
Pre-invested meme power as well, because it's done by the Crab Rave guy. And he
finally came through on his promise to make a video game.
Yep. Also, if you look at the patch notes closely, he is going to correct a large wrong that is in the game.
What?
There is currently no dancing crabs. There will now be dancing crabs.
On the Victory Island.
Yeah.
Okay. That should get you a lot of EXP.
I'll get out of here and I'll tell you what my level is.
Well, I can see it's level 84 because the chat told me.
Chat, you betrayed me, chat. So yeah, I got a level out of that.
Should be well into your next one, too.
About 20%, roughly. What's
Leveling roulette?
Nah. That requires some degree of brain.
Yeah, because you don't know, in the 80 to 90 range, you don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah.
If we get
that's right.
Terror of Zote or something, we're going to get wrecked if we don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I can do Mega Sisters as with the Trust, but even then, I still got to pay attention.
I think the first one is the worst one. The first one is the hardest.
Yeah.
Because if you don't happen to be looking at the cast bar at any given point in time, you just don't know what to do.
Yes, because otherwise you just get smushed sometimes.
And we won't have the trust to help us out.
Or in the Uriange's case, to kill you.
Well, yes, that is Uriange's thing.
I have noticed actually. Oh yeah, I have noticed that every now and again you'll do a trust where Uriange just decides he doesn't want to be there and he'll go and stand in something horrible.
I don't have that problem with him.
No, normally he cracks something horrible on top of me.
Oh yeah.
He just forgets he has a heal button, seems to be my big problem with him.
Yeah, I did, what was it actually called? The one with the incredibly dapper frogs.
Oh, Don Meg or whatever?
Yeah, Don Meg.
Don Meg.
I always seem to pull that one in leveling roulette at high level ranges. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, but I watched him, and on the final boss, when it turns into that blob thing and does the big cone that you definitely don't want to stand in, I've watched Uriange just walk over, stand in the cone, and get obliterated.
To be fair, he does think Archon Loaf is great.
He does. So that was the only time in my trust experiment that the healer completely failed, and the wipe run because the healer died.
I because before I gave up on it, I was leveling Alphino in trusts. Like the healer dying and Elize having to do all the healing was relatively common.
That would work right up until the limit break button is ready.
Yeah, she does like that limit break button a lot.
Yeah, she does.
And she steals it from Estinian.
Yes. It's a single target boss. Give it to the Dragoon.
I autistically got all them Then mofos up to level 90.
It doesn't take honestly that much.
It does.
It does. It does.
It does. It takes too much.
You're looking at 50 dungeon runs minimum.
That's true, you are. But when you're leveling a class along with them, I don't find it too bad.
I don't have any classes left to level. It would just be doing it for the sake of leveling up the trust.
Yeah. Right. So that's basically been my week, really. That's been a pretty boring one because, yeah, it's been all scrambling, getting ready for weddings and, finishing up all the last minute bits and pieces we got to make and...
I'm going to sit on our porch in the rain.
I am getting a holiday out of it, so there's that.
Holidays? What
Well,
are holidays?
It's a week off.
Week off? What's a week off?
I know, right?
But are you guys just shutting the business down?
No. We got some people we
You
can
got
move around.
You've got enough outsiders to keep the things operating while
Even
the family is busy doing family.
even if we only run it during the day, if we have to for a couple of days, it's like, yeah, fine. But after that, everyone's running around after pubs and drugs and, sorted other nonsense. And yeah, you're not going to miss that.
It's like, but my ketamine dealer only comes out after dark.
They usually do. Yeah. We'll wiggle it around and yeah. Vaul, how have you actually been able to get out of the office at all this week?
No, it's been a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. It's going to get worse as well. It's just been rough. Since we're down on so many people, basically we had a bit of a crisis end of last week, beginning of this week, where there was just too much work. There's just too much work to do, and my technicians were basically getting ground down under the pressure. So yeah, I had to make some tough resolutions on what we're going to do that I may pay for with my career later. But it's a simple matter of I would rather make sure my technicians are happy and healthy and get fired for doing that than grind them all into powder and maintain the throughput at a high level and get pat on the back by some bean counters who don't give a toss. So yeah, it's been pretty rough, and it's going to get rougher. There's 1 month left till the audit, and it's going to be death march time over the course of the next month, and then it'll be death march again the month after that, because most of the time corrective actions have 30 days to resolve to Iron's satisfaction before they will let you breathe for another year. So yeah, it's going to be a rough 2 months. I don't know how things are going to go, but yeah.
Will the month after that be normal, or will the month after that be
following that? So
yeah, catch up to what you had to put off because of the audit.
I think that July should wind down relatively quickly, because on average, sample volumes tend to dip slightly over the winter to begin with, and most of the noise will happen as a result of immediately before or after the audit. But the thing is that usually that's the time when people start looking at taking their leave mid-year, so numbers are likely to go down again. So yeah, it remains to be seen. Anything could happen in that space, really. It depends on how pooped out people are. But I'm going to be trading pretty heavily on subcontracting to try and get through this thing, because I need everybody to be nice and stable and very chill in the lead up to the audit, so that by the time the audit happens, everybody isn't exhausted and overwrought, and also because I need people to do various things. So yeah, it's going to be a rough exercise, to be honest, and there's no good resolution for it. Like, there's no way for me to do a perfect presentation to the auditors. It's just a matter of, these are the things that are priority for us to make sure are perfectly acceptable before the audit happens, in order to avoid actually getting shut down or getting 24-hour actions or 7-day actions, which are all quite bad. So basically, I'm trying to avoid the worst possible outcome rather than trying to go for a perfect play, because it would not be practical. Because I'm like 4 months worth of negligent previous manager behind where I need to be in order to do a perfect play. Like if he had been the perfect manager, then it would be trying to go for a clean sheet might be a feasible thing to attempt. I mean, it's basically impossible because orders are paid not to give you a clean sheet, but it would have been a lot more comfortable. But that's not where we are now. Where we are now is we are deeply in the hole, and we need to avoid the worst outcome. So, yeah, things are going to be busy for me. I think I'm starting to sense that there are some people who are a little bit concerned about me. Because I seem to always be there in the morning and always be there in the evening when everybody's gone.
I wonder why.
And nobody's ever spotted me eating. So, yeah, it's not impossible to get to a point where it's not like this anymore. Like, there is sort of the outline of a plan to get to a better time, a better state of things, but we're just in a really big mess right now, to be honest, and head office just keeps making things worse and worse because they've got their own priorities, and none of those priorities involve the well-being of our laboratory at all. Like, they are 100% putting Christchurch on the altar in order to basically carry out other projects elsewhere in the country, and they're like strip mining us for resources, human resources wise, meaning that I'm constantly under strength and missing important people to the process. So as far as I'm concerned, if it doesn't go well, I did everything that I could. They might choose to scapegoat me, but my conscience will be clear. So yeah, that's just the way it is.
I'd rather be fired for trying to do the right thing rather than just kowtowing to some stupid bean counters.
Yeah, like they don't have any idea what it's like to work in a laboratory. So yeah, at any rate, that's just the way it be. And the real problem is a matter of contrast. Like, I already looked like an absolute mess compared to the previous manager, because the one thing the previous manager did was keep up appearances, and he was very good at that, and it was the only thing he really bothered with.
Well, he wasn't stressed because he wasn't doing any work.
So, well, he was clearly stressed enough to vacate the premises before it was found out. Yeah. So, yeah, so it's frustrating that I'm going to be compared to somebody who I can't help but view as a fraud, and that's just a reality that I've got to face. So, yeah. We can get there. We can get there. It's possible, provided that I'm not constantly being undermined, which appears to be the case. We can get there, and things will stabilize in their own time. But I'm not sure whether head office will be willing to pay the price to get there. They might prefer to embark on what so many other labs do, which is engaging in a chain of successive hirings of new manager after new manager after new manager, none of which can fix the situation, and then having to send in an emergency fixer to stop the entire business going under, which seems to be the way it goes a lot of the time in the sector. Like, the people who make the decisions about who gets to be the manager have no concept of what management takes, and they either bring in the wrong people to start with, or they bring in somebody and then demand a miracle that can't be worked, and then fire them when they don't deliver. Sort of like every New Zealand rugby team, where every time they lose a major game, they sack the manager, or the coach, or both. Because obviously that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that there's no stable leadership. That's how you get success.
With the same manager twice.
Yeah, it's quite famous. They're quite famous for it.
Yes.
It's like Labour Party leadership. There's just an endless line of people waiting to shank the guy in charge. But
they do love them in their stabs.
Yeah, as a result, it's been pretty rough for a lot of reasons. This week was also the landlord was coming around to inspect, so I had to spend a bunch of time cleaning up the house and so on, which took another chunk of time. And yeah, my grandmother unfortunately passed away last night, yesterday evening. She's in Australia, so it would have been in the afternoon, probably about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or something. which is kind of a blow to the whole family. My parents have rushed over there to Sydney. My brother's already over there in Sydney, but I won't be able to get away. I'll be the guy that didn't show up for the funeral. So, because I can't leave, there's too many livelihoods on the line. Even if they don't shut us down, I mean, we might get temporarily issued with like a stop work notice by the auditors if I can't get things all sorted out in time, and that will cost people their livelihoods. I can't, like, if I would have just dropped everything and gone if I was still a member of the team, but now I'm responsible for the team.
Yeah.
And I can't go anywhere. This is the worst time. So, yeah, but my family is over there grieving now, and it's been a long time coming, though. My grandmother's been poorly for quite a while. She's quite old. She was, I don't know, late 90s, maybe 97, something like that. I'm not sure exactly.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah, but she was basically subject to all of the common things that old people who are very old become subject to. Like, she was weak. She eventually lost her mobility. She kept getting infections, even despite the fact that she was not coming into contact with anywhere that you would normally consider a risk of infection. She was unable to recognize people who had aged beyond a certain age in her memory. For instance, like, she doesn't recognize my brother because my brother is an adult now.
Yep.
And my brother that she remembers was a child. So she doesn't know who he is. Well, yeah, so, and eventually she was pretty much in full-time care, and when she passed, she had been sedated because they'd basically given up trying to fight the infections, because she had basically been in and out of hospital constantly and was in constant pain. So in the end, they decided, we can't pull her back from this. She's just constantly getting, every time we defeat one infection, she just gets a different one straight away. So, yeah, they just put her on palliative care, and eventually she passed. But, yeah. So that was that. It's been kind of an unpleasant week for me. I basically haven't played any video. I did on the one day I took off, because I decided I was going to at least take some time off. I did spend a lot of my Easter doing like NMD data and doing ILCP data and a whole bunch of crap for work, because basically all of the routine management things that I'm supposed to do at work, I now do at home during the weekend. And all of the time that I am at work, I'm doing things at the bench to make up for people who called in sick due to exhaustion most of the time, or doing things to prep for the audit. So I did burn a lot of my Easter weekend on doing work crap, but I did play a little bit of video games. So I managed to squeeze in another hour or two of Nier Replicant, which I'm enjoying. I haven't gotten very far, obviously, because I haven't had the time. I've only gotten just as far as meeting Kaine, who seems to be perpetually grouchy and underdressed.
Yes.
Generally speaking.
I see.
That is a very understated way of explaining Kaine.
It's not wrong. It does not seem to be wrong. She is perpetually grouchy and underdressed.
Wait until she... Well, you'll see. It gets worse.
What, her state of dress or her mood?
Her mood.
I see.
Her state of dress never changes.
So she always looks like she was only able to find a Victoria's Secret when she went clothes shopping.
Yeah, and if you do the deep dive in the lore as to why, it's not pretty.
I don't know if I want to do deep dive into Yoko Taro lore. It sounds like a lot of work.
Oh wait, no, that's not in the deep dive. That one's in the game. Oh boy, I can't wait till you get to the forest.
How many endings do I have to play through to find out the lore of this game, though?
5.
Because I've heard
4.
that it's a relatively the basically the story is just layered in sequential playthroughs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I don't know how much time I'll have to devote to it. I think that a lot of things are going to get put off to, the point in time at which I have become a normal lab manager and the systems that I've implemented are working, so that, because I can see, I have a vision in my mind of functional systems that allow things to be done as they are needed, rather than backlogged for 4 months and then desperately tried to be caught up on. Like there is a way in which I can return to a normal life. I've just got to push through that rough period first. Ari should be familiar with the process since he went through it himself.
Yeah,
But,
it went MIA for over half a year.
But yeah, a lot of stuff is going to get pushed back till then, especially if it involves 5 playthroughs of a Yoko Taro game. But
it's only 4. Only 2 of them are kind of close to each other. The other one's
one of them
changed
like
quite considerably.
delete your save or something.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Oh, well, that's
Right.
rude.
Now, we're on PC though.
Yeah, so you just create more saves.
So what you do is you copy the save out of the folder, unless they put some kind of cheeky hidden file somewhere that checks if it's a.
I actually checked that on the Steam guides to see if there were any fishhooks in it, and they said no, you can just create multiple saves, and that's usually sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so that'll be put on the back burner. Like, I enjoy the game well enough. It's like it's not too abusive. Apart from, I didn't particularly appreciate the quest where I had to take the item across the field to the other town without getting touched by anything through a tunnel full of bats. Like,
Oh, that one.
that was a little bit obnoxious. Especially since the guy who was handing me the item didn't seem to really care that much if it broke, nor did the guy receiving it seem to care enough to open the door. So I felt rather unappreciative, all told. So, yeah. But
there's a hidden mount you can get that makes the field stuff way faster.
yeah, I fought the pig after doing the delivery.
I don't know if you can carry it on the pig.
I've not tried because I fought the pig after doing the delivery. It was, in fact, it was on the way back from the delivery that I decided to engage the pig. It took me a while to kill it. That's got a lot of hit points.
Yeah, I got him stuck on the rock after a while playing Toro with him because
I got killed a couple times by him just going past. Because he can one-shot you if you aren't on 100% health.
he's a strong boy.
He is a strong boy. And he is very easy to confuse, though. If you simply run in a circle around him at the right distance, he simply won't do anything. You can just run around pelting him with magic until he falls over dead.
He's also not that hard to play Toro with, or you can get him stuck on anything in the area. He doesn't know how to navigate the terrain.
Anyway, yeah, so that's that. I did sort of, well, I dipped my toe into Blue Archive would probably be the apt way to put it. I re-rolled my account many, many times. The main reason being I kept pulling Nero over and over and over again. I just don't like the brat. Don't like the brat. Don't want to. Like, if I was... It was not like... when I went into Pinecone, I was willing to give it the old college try, right? I said, okay, we'll play this semi-seriously. I'll try and do the content. I'm not going to try and, sweat buckets on Clan Battle or PvP. But, I'm still going to try and do all the stuff, more or lessly, so that I can see all the story. In the case of Blue Archive, it's more sort of, I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever I feel like when I feel like it, and that's all. That's all I'm willing to commit. But in that context, getting your decent first 10 pull with a decent waifu in it is relatively important, since you're not going to get enough 10 pulls to replace them. So ultimately, I just kept pulling until I got somebody who was suitably pretty and not weird.
You should have stuck with Tsurugi.
No. I am already a Kiyohime enjoyer. I do not need any other weirdlings.
I will post in live shows. I don't have Tsurugi, but Abo does. And Abo has fallen in love with her.
Well, Abo's weird. We know this.
I mean, I can appreciate this. I can understand this love. So I have posted 3 images. I want to post one more.
Oh, no.
In live show chat, so you know the character I'm talking about.
Yeah, it does seem that the characters are uncommonly robust. But Abo in his unique tastes.
I told him he should make that his new profile picture. The picture Sarugi sent him. He won't do it.
At any rate, I haven't really done much with the game though, so I don't really know much about what the characters are like, other than like the 3-star that I got from my guaranteed 3-star pull that you get at the start of the game was, what's her name? Haruna, who is basically a cross between Akino and Pecorin. Like she's a clearly like a wealthy, well-bred girl with all of the traditional Japanese wealthy, well-bred girl mannerisms and a certain amount of ohoho and ara, but is also monomaniacally fixated on trying new foods. But this tends to manifest in a interesting way at times. Like all the characters are students essentially, so they aren't allowed alcohol. But there's a lot of dishes that are cooked with wine, and her method of solving this was to simply obtain some ethyl alcohol, some ethanol, and to obtain some grape juice, and to dump them both into the cooking and completely explode the kitchen.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not how that works.
Well, I mean,
with her and Jury,
I can sort of understand where the logic is headed there, but it is nevertheless incorrect. But yeah, she also seems to have a dash of tamaki in there as well, since her victory animation has her eating taiyaki every time. So yeah. At any rate, I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I haven't played very much at all. I've done like a tiny bit of the first part of the story. I've done a tiny bit of the missions. I've done a tiny bit of this, that, and the other. But I haven't made much progress, and I don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest. But I'm only playing it super casually because I don't have the time to devote to another gacha. And it's going to get even further backburnered because FGO's Idoru event is starting this coming week, I believe. Which is where a whole bunch of the girls are going to get new outfits, new costumes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that includes Nero, obviously.
Of
and
course.
That made a lot of people incredibly salty because Nero just gets outfit after outfit after outfit. But this one is really ugly and makes her look like a giant pumpkin. A giant tartan pumpkin. So, yeah, it's not exactly flattering. I mean, it's definitely an idol costume, but it's definitely an idol costume designed by a colorblind costume designer.
It's just incredibly orange.
There's a lot of orange and green and clashing tartan patterns in orange and green. And it's just quite horrid, all told. It's something straight out of the 70s.
After seeing the 3D animated tree idol costume from Idolmaster Starlight Stage, I'm inoculated to bad idol costumes.
Well, it's not silly though. It's not the outfits are not silly. They're just all sort of like variant dresses for the characters. Some of them are quite nice as well. Some of them are only very marginal variations on the normal costume. Like, unless you knew to look for a difference, you wouldn't be able to tell that Uriali was wearing a new costume when she switches to her idol costume. But I mean, part of the lore for Stheno and Uriali is that they were ancient Greek idols to begin with. So I guess it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to look much different in an idol costume. But there's lots of characters are getting them. Well, maybe not lots by other game standards, but Mash is getting an alternate, Altera is getting an alternate, Nero is, Maeve is, Helena is, Nitocris is, Shootin is, Tamakat is, Jean is, Uriali is, Ushi is, and Serenity is. And Ushi's actually covers a reasonable amount of her skin. So it's going to be the I think the outfit of choice for most people who don't, want to feel skeevy.
Yes. Here's this famous warrior. She's not wearing pants. Or bunch of anything, really. Ugh.
Yeah, it's like this armor involves no shirt at all.
Like, it's like a couple of bootlaces and a tea bag.
The animators in Babylonia had fun.
Yes.
Trying to go, how do we get the chest flap to still cover the boobs?
And yeah, it's some of them are quite nice. Some of them are quite hefty deviations from the regular mode of dress. Most of them are on characters that are quite scantily clad, cover more than the original outfit. Like, Nitocris is basically wearing swimwear in her normal outfit, but
Once she takes the sheet off, anyway.
the idol outfit is covers a lot more. Shuten is basically wears very little at all in her normal outfit, but is literally covered from neck to ankle in her idol costume. So yeah, and there's a lot like that. So
But why would I ever deprive the Grand Wizardess of her full body outfit?
it's not assassin Nitocris, it's the regular kind.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that event because it's a proper full scale event and it's not like a freaking torture event like the Akihabara Tower. So you can farm it normally in a normal way using normal methods instead of having to devise an entirely new team for each stage and do that 200 times. Which I just can't. I don't have the time to put into that anymore. It is unfortunately a triple points ladder event in the mode of the Luluhawa event. Did you do that one, Aristiel? Were you playing at the time?
Oh, was that the one with Nile off the top?
Yeah, the time loop.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Screw that.
I didn't find that one that difficult, but I guess it depends on how much rolling you do. Because if you've got the CEs, it's the right appropriate CEs. It's not too bad. But yeah, I don't know how hard it is. That was the first time they did the triple points ladder, and they've eased off on the difficulty of them greatly since the first one. Like they clearly iterate on their methods as they go. Like for instance, they never ever repeated the mechanics of Sunzone going to the west. Like that event stands on its own as one that a method of designing event currencies that just died on the vine right there. And
Yeah.
good riddance, because it was awful.
I don't remember the specifics of it, but I remember I only did the rerun.
Yeah, well, the rerun, they'd already carved out a lot of the obnoxious crap because it was basically unplayable the first time round.
Yeah, it's a shame actually because
Like-
the event has some really fun writing.
The event was extraordinarily silly.
Yes.
But yeah, it was like you farm a currency and you use that currency to buy quests where you can farm a currency that you use that currency to buy access to quests where you farm the actual currency you want or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like massively nested grinding. It was really horrid. But yeah, it's usually a lot more straightforward now, and the difficulty of events these days seems to, for this particular period in we'll call it the design meta for FGO, event stages, their farmability sort of depends on your roster to a certain extent. Like, every event will basically have 2 top tier farming stages. One of them will have a 3-3-3 format, by which I mean there are 3 enemies in the first wave, 3 enemies in the second wave, and 3 enemies in the third wave. So anybody who is like at all acquainted with the way farming meta works since, say, the release of Skadi knows that the 3-3-3 is optimal for looping. So there will be a 3-3-3 usually, and then there will be a better farming node that has usually a really obnoxious layout, like 1-1-2 or something like that. Now, 1-1-2s are not impossible to 3-turn, but they do depend on you being able to either make sacrifices for powerful CEs rather than farming CEs, or to have a particular roster that just happens to luck you into a 3-turn combination. So in the worst case scenario, you can usually devise, by borrowing a servant or whatever, a 3-turn which will work on the 3-3-3 because it's very, very farming friendly, and that will get you everything you need to complete the event usually. It will just take a little bit longer. If you want to do a complete shop clear, then you probably want to devise a 3-turn strat for the 1-1-2 or whichever variant. Sometimes it's 1-2-2, sometimes it's 2-1-2. It's usually something annoying though. But yeah, so I don't know what the appropriate strats will be for this one. I don't usually look into them in advance. I just but based on when the event comes out, I'll look at what the optimal farming stage is like. Was the layout good enough for me to work with my roster? Then, if it's the right layout, then okay, we'll do a relatively heavy clear of this event. If it's too hard to do and I have to use the 333 one, well, we'll just clear all of the stuff that's missable. Anything that's non-farmable, we'll clear those, and we'll not worry about the rest. And that's usually how I decide it. But I don't know how farming heavy this will be, but you get, as you move up the ladder, I believe you get bonuses. So as the point ladder, as you escalate the point ladder, even though the point rewards get further apart, I think you get bonuses or something that make you actually able to farm points faster the further up you get. So like little things like that have been implemented mean that the overall difficulty of climbing 3 points ladders is significantly reduced.
Yeah, I think the last time I did the BB event, the BB summer event, I burned out so hard on events I haven't sat down and seriously done an event since.
Yeah, the BB event that it was quite famous for burning people out. The reason why it didn't, kill the fan base was because the story was so much fun. People liked it so much that they were just willing to put up with the grind. And it was quite a novel format as well, like the time loop thing, and certain things happen on certain days and become available on certain days, and certain challenges can only be done under certain circumstances, like nighttime on the 5th day or whatever, and that sort of thing. But it was too onerous, and as a one-shot event, I think it's just fine. But I wouldn't want it to become a repeating format. But this time, as you go up the ladder, depending on what color ladder you've got, like if you focus on, say, the green ladder first, the green points ladder first, then as you go up, your cards of that color gain effectiveness. So if you are mainly farming using like Scuddy Dante's, then if you focus on the green one, those loops will become more reliable as you go along, and you'll have less gaffes.
Okay, cool.
That's how I understand it anyway. I haven't actually tried it because it hasn't started yet.
I might poke at it, but
well, you can see if it's fun or if you just burn out immediately.
Yeah.
Like FGO farming has the advantage of needing very little focus. Something which I can't say for for Blue Archive farming, which seems to like the autoplay is not good.
Thankfully, the current event, I have just cleared the 3 missions that are level 17 or whatever for this current event, and I've just dumped a whole bunch of stamina to try and level up on the hardest node I can do, which is the last level 17 one or whatever. And I've just been dumping all the currency I get into drawing their lottery box equivalent, which is random cards. And
I haven't touched the event because I tried the story. I tried the story and I got shellacked. So
I've had a serious problem in Blue Archive with leveling up. Where
really?
level determines a lot of power.
Oh yeah, because it's like 2% difference in damage per level or something like that.
Yeah, it's something nuts.
Level difference influences things massively. You can't afford to be below level for the enemy. You need to be at least parity with the enemy.
Yeah, I'm so
toasted.
So I've been stuck at the 30 rut in levels and just kind of chilling here, dumping stamina wherever I can, trying to level up.
I haven't had time to dump stamina, so my stamina's rotting away at 999 because I can't dump it. I don't have the time. I don't even have the time to just like, just dump all of this on sweeping. It's like, if I do that, then I'll level up a bunch and I'll be sweeping the wrong thing, and yeah. But yeah, so I think Blue Archive is a fun game and more engaging than Pinecone in terms of your actual interaction. The presentation is inferior, of course, but anybody's would be to Cygames because Cygames is like they've mastered gacha presentation pretty much.
And they have all the money.
Yeah, and they have infinite dollars. Not that Nexon don't. Nexon do have infinite monies because they've been in this game a long time. But yeah.
Cygames is just industry standardized a whole bunch of systems I've noticed that have creeped their way into other gacha games, like the Spark system, the 3% gacha rate. The shard system is apparently used in a lot of games that and Pinecone started that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good system. It's a good system, and it seems to be pretty nakedly imported into Blue Archive, like farming hard stages where there are 3 per world, as it were, per map.
Yeah, you get 3 attempts per day at double the stamina cost of a normal map.
Yeah, it all seems to be fairly standard. They've got their own sort of like variant things that they've attempted embedded throughout, but
yeah, they've got a mix of like the grotto and FGO farming stages.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, but yeah, I haven't used their grotto equivalent much. I tried it like once or something, and it's like, well, that felt particularly unrewarding. I don't have time to play to make it rewarding, so.
I'm also, because I'm a new player and a new gacha again, I don't have EXP in my account, so I've had to dump a bunch of stamina into killing those stupid little robots. Well, sweeping the stage. I only killed him once and got 3-star, but
I keep missing stars because of time, so. Like, I usually don't.
Hibiki was the answer to my prayers on that.
I haven't used her at all. Like, that was sort of like one of those things, oh, well, this is an event 1 that I can't ever raise above 1 star because I can't get...
I just dumped the Divine Amulets when I realized how good she was to get her to 3-star.
I don't have very many of those either. I have very few of those, in fact.
What are they called in this game? Like elf...
Eligma.
Yeah.
Eligma.
Yeah, right. Ligma shards, right.
Yeah.
Ligma shards.
Ligma shards.
Eligma shards. Kind of like Ligma wood.
Ligma nuts. Yeah.
Yes, that was the joke, Fern.
You aren't supposed to come right out and say it, Fern.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, in fact, you're supposed to leave it unsaid. That's the point.
Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I like. There are things about Blue Archive that I like. It's a fun game to play because you can actually play it, unlike Pinecone, where you can't really play. I guess it doesn't seem like it. But
unless you have like you have to be really deep into the game and have a huge roster to play "quote unquote" Pinecone. And even then, it's mostly a spreadsheet game. Yeah,
it's like, well, actually, what you do when you're playing Pinecone is you math out and sim out the clan battle a million billion times until you work out optimal, and then you give your account to somebody else to do it for you. That seems to be what Pinecone play is like. But but as far as the presentation of characters in the story, I think Blue Archive is not quite as good. The characters are a little bit wackier on average, I would say, though.
Yeah,
there seem to be very few normal people in Kivotos.
Yeah, this is the whole reason I've been playing, is I just got attached to the characters because they're all certifiable. Like, they all need help badly. They're all crazy.
Yeah. Like the for instance, the current story, the one of cleaning and clearing, who seems to be the sane one, just decides that bombing the ship would be the best option, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. I posted a story throughout the week that I was experiencing the main story. The very first main story chapter, the little fox girl that you see on all the headliners for the game is part of this club, and the one that looks like Fubuki.
Yeah, I couldn't shake Fubuki XP in my head, because main reason being because there's also a Fubuki XP in Azure Lane.
Like, oh yeah,
just blatantly Fubuki XP, and they actually meet in the storyline, the crossover storyline with Hololive Gamers. And it's a rather. So there is a character called Fubuki because there's a special class destroyer in the Imperial Japanese Navy in World War II called the Fubuki, and there's also the character who looks just like Fubuki. So that was an interesting little storyline crossover. But I get the same sort of feeling from Shiroko, that she's like, oh well, this design feels to me like it's taken some cues from Fubuki somehow. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, and she, at one point, when they're trying to come up with ways to raise money for the Student Foreclosure Club to stop their school from getting foreclosed on, her first suggestion is, we rob a bank.
Well, isn't it sort of implied in her bio that it's something that she has been thinking about for a long time? The idea of robbing a bank is just something she wants to try.
She has, yeah, so she has a mask pre-made for it, and she pulls on a mask when she says it that has the number 2 on it. And the whole group just looks at her and goes, nah, this is a bad idea. And the story shenanigans go on, and eventually they wind up with it in front of an evil bank that they gotta go hit. And you can just see her, quietly, in her very subdued way, light up like a Christmas tree and whip out masks for the entire crew. And everybody, even Nanomi on the field, Team Mom, is on board with this and happy with their little mask on, about to go hit the bank. And you've kidnapped this poor little schoolgirl to serve as your guide in the slums district, because they don't know their way around. And they don't have a mask for her, so they just take their lunch bag and poke some eye holes in it and draw the number 5 on it.
Oh, that explains that then.
I think I have a picture of the full group here somewhere.
You sent me that picture pretty much unreferenced. It's just like, we're going to go rob a bank. Here's this. I was wondering about the kid with the paper bag.
Yeah, so they go hit the bank, and your mission control is just like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this, and she has one just on standby at mission control to put on. Oh, I love the characters in this game so much. They're so stupid.
You need that. Need just more stupid games sometimes. Alright. We should probably take a break.
Alright. Oh, here's the picture. I'll post it in live show chat.
Yeah, stick it in there.
Well, I'll be back, folks. Here is some music. And we're back.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Paul, you got anything else for your week?
There's a couple of little things. So I haven't had time to watch much anime either, but I have. What
Yeah,
the?
that was a loud noise.
I'm getting somebody else's. I'm getting somebody else's sound, like really loudly. This is definitely not my sound.
My sound is off.
My
My
sound is
sound should
also
be
off.
Maybe there's something wrong with my audio settings because they don't. It doesn't sound like my sound.
Huh.
All right.
Anyway, so I watched a couple of things, but not very much. I watched the first part of the new season of The Ancient Magus' Bride, which is basically unwatchable without having watched the entire previous season immediately beforehand, because I immediately got lost. The story just picks up again. No flashbacks, no recaps, no nothing. I don't have any idea what's going on. I can't remember. I can remember the rough gist, like the very rough gist, but they seem to require you to have sort of like immediate knowledge of what has happened recently. And I don't remember anything about this particular boss, to be honest. I don't recall it being particularly difficult, but
We don't do anything. This is the nap time boss.
right. Anyway, yeah. So that one, I mean, it's a decent show. Like the first based on the first season, anyway, it's a decent show. But and so it's perfectly watchable. But do probably catch up on the previous season because I'm trying to soldier on without having done so, and it's kind of rough. But it just does sort of stand up. It's just, not really ideal. I watched the first couple episodes of An Explosion on This Wonderful World, which more or less seems to be built out of sort of things that are mentioned in a kind of offhanded way in the books, but not really covered in any depth in the story proper. That seems to be more or less what's going on there. Yeah, so it's I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I kind of know a lot of the characters already because while they're not really covered in any depth in the anime, they all do feature a reasonable amount in the books. So you've got a sort of sense for them. Although Arue has certainly got a lot of quite a bit of a glow up in this season because she's not emphasized as being, I don't know, like particularly how do I say,
Stable.
she's got much more of a prominent position in the story, I suppose you would say, in this version of events than what I would necessarily expect based on how the fact that she's just sort of like a weirdo fanfiction author. Oh, and my phone is going off.
Oh no.
At the worst possible time. So, I guess have
Aos
fun,
is-
guys.
Aos has got this.
Isaiah's got this.
I've got this. I've pushed like only 2 buttons.
Ah, fair enough.
This is the nap time boss. Right. So I'll interject my Blue Archive week while we wait on Vaul to get back.
Might as well.
So I've been really enjoying Blue Archive, like a lot, just because of the characters. I just love these characters. I've fallen in love with Hibiki. It's definitely my personal waifu pick for this game. Hang on, I will show you the moment she won a whole lot of points in live show chat, where she just proposes a self-destructing computer attached to a word processor where if you're not productive for 15 minutes, you it explodes.
I was gonna say, what's it do? Explode? Yeah, apparently. Yeah, it does.
Yes, it do.
Alrighty then. I might have to check. I was kind of out of all these gacha games after
The
playing
only
them.
reason
Yeah.
the only reason to check out Blue Archive is for the characters.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's just complete nonsense, and it's great.
Yeah, there is no reason whatsoever to check out this game for any reason other than you think the characters are fun.
Okay, I feel that call wasn't entirely necessary. I understand why it was made, but I probably would have preferred some independent thinking.
Yeah.
Then again, I've seen bad things happen due to independent thinking in the past.
You're gonna get. I'm surprised you're not already at the point actually where you're just like, no independent thought, just tell me.
No, there's not enough time. Not enough time in the world. Like you work in a much smaller business. That it is actually feasible for you to make all the decisions. It's not feasible for me to make all the decisions.
Alright. Skywell is dead.
Yay, red tones.
Yay.
Keep getting extra sounds coming through. I don't know why.
I got 4 shots.
Yeah. I got a comm. Single comm.
Single comm.
Like, I always have my game sound on very, very quietly, but I'm getting like random sound effects coming through really, really loudly on my headphones.
That's weird.
Is it just the Duty Finder pop sound?
They're the most prominent ones. I think I might have noticed another one, but that's probably, yeah.
Because that one has a weird channel associated with it where it plays by different rules than the rest of the
But I've never heard this before, never, and I do this every week.
Oh?
Very strange. Very strange. Anyway, so yeah, the explosion anime definitely worth watching. It's humor on a bit more of an even keel in a lot of ways compared to classic Konosuba, which is a bit more madcap and chaotic. This is more sort of like a more conventional type of storytelling. So the humor is similar in tone, but the overall pace of the story is more traditional than Konosuba, where everybody's flailing about constantly.
Yeah, okay, so because in Konosuba, people gotta get going with the next joke immediately. Like we move right on to the next joke after the first one.
Yeah,
this is more sort of like the big problem that I see with this show going forward is that so far it's got one joke. There's one joke, and they just tell it over and over again, and that's Crimson Demons are wacky.
Oh,
and that's the only joke they ever tell. So it could get old really quickly if they don't vary it up. But because it's just the one joke, they don't have that problem of constantly chaotically chaining on from one gag to the next gag to the next gag to the next gag. And I suppose it's not inaccurate based on the book version reading of Megumin's character, but it does kind of make her look nearly but not quite as bad as Kazuma. Because of her constantly picking on Yunyun. But it's pretty obvious that she's more sort of Tsun for her. But yeah. Anyway, it's quite watchable, but probably not that watchable if you didn't like Konosuba, since it trades a lot on, the particular humor of the Crimson Demons. And it does feel in some ways a little bit odd because part of it feels redundant to the Konosuba movie, and the other part of it feels like it's out of place because it depends on stuff from the books that hasn't been animated yet. So, yeah. It feels like it fits in an odd place in the continuity in some ways, but it's still quite watchable and good for light entertainment. I watched also the first episode of the new season of Demon Slayer.
Oh, so did I.
And
I can bounce on this one with you.
It was 100% that was animated for the big screen.
Uh-huh.
Like, they are just showing off.
The Mugen Castle scene.
They are showing off. That is just showing off. Like UFO table, you are showing off.
When they're in the Infinity Castle, just wasting screen time just to make the castle pretty.
Yeah, like, somebody obviously spent a lot of time modeling that. And they're just like, we're going to use the shit out of this scene. Like, we're going to just attach the camera to an end of a string and just sort of flail it around. Everybody watching the scene should be motion sick by the end before we're done.
Yeah, I had to pause it and rub my eyes and be like, okay, what's actually going on? Because I don't think the camera keeps the same rotation angle between cuts anytime it cuts in there.
I watched it on my 32-inch monitor, and it was pretty crazy. I didn't actually do it in there, but I was tempted to actually watch it on my VR headset just to see.
But then I decided,
you know what? Yeah, I don't really think I need that in my life. It might be a bit too traumatic.
It's like, but it was really pretty.
It was really pretty, but it was pretty in a completely unnecessary way.
Like, we got the scale of it from the first couple shots.
This is sort of like when Studio Shaft decides that they're just going to put a normal conversation in a completely absurd location and animates the shit out of it, type of thing.
Yeah, and when we usually ending with an iconic Shaft head tilt at the end, yeah.
Ending and at the start and in the middle multiple times. But it was certainly something else, that scene. After that, it was more or less normal fare for Demon Slayer. Like, you're not going to see anything you haven't seen before.
They didn't.
Main character wakes up in hospital.
It goes by really fast, but there's a couple scenes that are inside the Mugen Castle still that are when the characters are just talking, but the animation on like the dude's head regenerating, that looks smooth.
They spent a lot of budget on that. That's why I said it feels like it was animated for the big screen. And it makes me wonder if they're going to, or have already, and I didn't know about it, released this as a compressed big screen version.
They could have, yeah.
For the train arc, they did a movie.
Yeah.
Right? And then they did a sort of a half season that was the same as the movie, except with some extra frames here and there.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it was designed for the big screen and not actually designed to be watched on telly. Because the amount of money they clearly spent on it was off the chain.
Yeah, you got all the Karen animation they put on the dude with the mouse for eyeballs. And eyeballs for mouse.
That guy's weird.
He's in a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
You also reminds me of the dude from Sekiro. There's a dude in a pot there too.
You also get your first sort of like, one-on-one time with the Love Hashira, who you don't really get any sense of her personality whatsoever for the most part.
Until you mentioned it, I forgot that scene existed.
Yeah, and like she was a lot more unremarkable and a lot less of a sleut than I expected.
Although, I can appreciate a girl that just wants to find a man stronger than her to take care of her.
Yeah, except that she's also one of the strongest people in the country, so...
Well, it means her pickings are going to be the cream of the crop.
It's going to be hard work, though. I don't think she realizes the holes in her logic, though, because she's like, I want a man stronger than me, so I'm going to work to become one of the strongest people in the world in order to find one of the strongest people in the world. It's like, you realize that in your pursuit of your goal, you just made it that much harder to get to your goal, right?
It's okay. She's got plenty of assets where it counts. She'll be fine.
Yeah. She has all of the correct attributes and commodities necessary. But anyway, I don't know where the story's going. I haven't read the manga or anything, but I gather it's a story that actually got written with a start, a middle, and an end. So that's
the manga
something
is over, so
something to be optimistic about. Hopefully, it doesn't have a bad end.
Yeah, people seem to like the ending. I haven't looked into what the ending is, but people seem to like it a lot.
Well, I haven't heard anybody talking about it in the tones that they talk about, say, the ending of Yu Yu Hakusho. So, yeah, presumably it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we didn't have suddenly the Jews and Nazis appear like in Attack on Titan.
Wait, is that what happens? Do literally the Jews and Nazis appear?
The not Jews and the not Nazis appear. They are. It is such a clear World War II Germany XP of like the Western fictionalization of it.
Yes. Gotta love the schmooze and the schmatzis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
why
see.
everybody. That's why everybody that isn't a tard hates the last season of Attack on Titan.
I don't really have any interest in watching it. Like, it's not an anime conceit either, right? It's in the manga
No,
as well.
that's how it's written.
Yep.
Man,
I'm glad I never got invested in Attack on Titan.
They started to pull out of the nosedive in season 3, and then they just said nah, and pointed that nose right back at the ground.
Dive!
yeah, we need to talk some more about mid-century Germans. That's what the world needs.
Could we not?
Mid-20th century Germany. That's the entire world for the rest of time. They're all going to be, focused exclusively on that. It's like there've been much worse people in the past.
I'm gonna start a campaign. Make the Assyrians the bad guys again.
Yeah, I know Sargon historically has been extremely fixated on the Assyrians because they just did a lot of incredibly awful things for the lulz. I mean, so did, Tamerlane, for instance, but nobody's oppressing him about it. And I suppose you've got to give kudos to the Mongolians, actually, because they think Genghis was a great guy and they have statues of him everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they know how to be proud of their national heroes.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, first episode of Demon Slayer. It's a setup episode, so not a whole lot's happened yet. But
it's a double episode as well, but most of it is just like crazy camera shots.
Yeah, they waste a good 5 minutes of screen time just playing with that castle.
Panning aggressively and dramatically.
Yeah, like you'll see Asuka just sitting on a thing, just zooming through the castle in different angles, and showing all the cool environments that their designers came up with. Just go watch the episode and you'll understand.
Yeah, I don't think I've got much else to comment on. There's a show that I'm sort of like curious to watch, perhaps, that I haven't looked into it yet, but I can't remember what it's called. But it basically sounds like there's like a world of magic, and this guy doesn't have magic, and so he's an outcast. So standard setup, right? Except that he decides he's going to deal with this by becoming a muscle wizard.
I see no problem with this.
I can get behind this. This sounds like a great idea.
No, the anime is allegedly about his attempts to solve trials and tribulations in the magical world without having any magic, but basically becoming One Punch Man.
This would be a great concept as long as the guy gets swole at the end of it instead of being dinky.
No, I think he is actually swole. I haven't checked because I haven't watched it yet.
Nope.
But I think that
was without being swole.
It's actually called Mashal, Magic and Muscles, and I presume that the guy gets swole. Maybe he gets swole, maybe he doesn't. It is Japan, so they probably don't consider being swole to be necessary.
He'll be normal right up until he takes his shirt off or something like that.
Yeah, they did that in the awful the Ice Blade Sorcerer Will Rule the World anime they did recently. Like, he looks like an incredibly sort of slender, traditional Bishonen, bland main character, but then the second he takes his shirt off, he's like comically swole underneath.
There was an anime about working out recently where the main guy just looks completely normal until he flexes and all his clothes fly off and suddenly he's enormous. You know what?
Anytime we talk about swole dudes, I don't know why this image comes to my head, but I get the Carnival Phantasm, the episode of Lancelot and Mash's outfit, and going, woo!
That's... No. Can you not?
That, or I get an image of the sumo guy from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, yeah, I remember the guy.
The clappy guy?
Yeah.
The guy who has the clap?
Well, I suppose it's better than the Toguro brothers. There's muscle gone wrong, man.
That's supposed to be disturbing.
But yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't know what else I'm going to look into this season, because this season seems to have a massive profusion of like incredibly bland, generic, played straight isekai power fantasies. Like I was willing to tolerate it when at least they were all desperately trying to put an interesting spin on it, and some of them were interesting and some of them weren't. Most of them weren't, but some of them were still like, well, I can at least watch this provided I've had a couple drinks. But this time round, so many of them are just like, suddenly he finds himself in another world and he's incredibly powerful and everybody loves him, and that's the premise. And that's the whole thing. The whole thing. They aren't trying to sell you on anything.
And they're not even taking the piss.
No, not at all. Everything is being played completely straight.
Completely bland and straight.
Well, last season was so bad that it had a show that broke Giguk.
Yeah, where they were taking the piss.
I don't watch
Unfortunately.
content, so...
What was
It
that
was
one?
the dog one? The
Oh,
one
yeah.
that turned into a
the
dog?
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's like generic pandering, right? Like that's just taken to a really disturbing degree. But
Yes.
the world is full of simps, so I'm not really surprised it got made.
Yeah.
No, leave the dog alone. No, bad. No, there was another one last season which was like typical isekai edgelord, but they did think everything's so completely ridiculous, but did it with a completely straight face.
I don't need Serethus writing us any more emails about the dog pill. I don't know if he actually has written us any of them, but I don't want him to.
Please don't. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, we should keep moving.
Yes, we
Right.
should keep moving. I don't really have anything else to talk about. I don't think.
So we touched on my week with Blue Archive and Balls Week and Grab Champions and Ferns Week. Did I do anything else?
You decided to queue us for guild tests.
Wait,
Right.
what?
That's the thing I can do.
But why?
Uh,
I have 0 buttons to press during guild tests.
I do too. We're in the same boat together.
Heal.
So
I can heal at this time only.
I have been very, very busy at work. I just have so much random garbage.
Yep.
That needs taken care of all the time. Go away, stupid thing, and let me zoom my camera out.
No. Hey, look at that. Everyone's got a portrait.
Where's the thing going?
It's peacing out, apparently.
It's resetting is what it's doing. But yeah, I've been so busy at work. Like I just everybody seems to want something every 5 minutes. One of the major problems with being the only guy that can get any work done is there's nobody else for me to dump my work off on. So if I don't do it, work doesn't get done.
Right.
And I'm just... There we go. I'm just busy all the time.
Yeah. I don't want to adult anymore. But we
Yeah,
do
I'm quite...
adult.
I hate calling it adulting, but
It pretty much
I just...
Yeah.
Because it feels like there are people that can get by with an easier time, but those people also are usually the people I don't want to hang around, and they tick me off.
Yes. So,
I don't know. It's just that I find that it's best not to think about what anybody else is doing, or what anybody else's lot in life is, or what anybody else might have managed to accomplish or not accomplish. Like, because that's not, none of those things affect the problem I have to deal that's in front of me right now.
Yeah, and normally I'm like that, but just some weeks where it's just if other people would do their due diligence, if engineers knew how to do more than push the copy paste button.
All things that God wills or permits, he wills and permits for our sanctification. And I recite this to myself over and over and over.
Yeah. He for some reason gave engineers the copy paste button to give me trials in life to make me stronger. I guess I'll have to put in a memo for a clearer message next time.
Well, that was a thing.
It is. Yeah. So today I am in pain. I've been hiding it pretty well on the show because I'm on all of the painkillers. But my hands still hurt like hell.
Yeah, I think a lot of this seems to be a bad life decision in your part. You should have just drugged your father and then gone out to get some real insulation and done that instead.
Yes, not fiberglass blowing, flocking.
So there are 3 types of insulation. Fern told me about a third one I didn't know about, some type of rock one.
Yeah, it's basically basalt candy floss.
So there's that. And then there's the standard type, which you just pull out of a bag, or sometimes you can even keep it in the bag, and you just kind of cram it in big blocky squares. Mm-hmm. And you just basically paper the insulated areas, then you paper in with it, and you're done.
Well, there's two types of glass. There's 2 types of glass-based insulation, and that is fiberglass blankets, which are the fluffy ones, they're commonly yellow or pink, and fiberglass loose fill, which is what you were using.
Also known as the worst.
Also known as probably banned in several countries.
I'm pretty sure it's banned in my state.
Yeah, so we call it blowout insulation. My dad saw the price it would cost to get somebody to do this, and was like, I can do that myself. He can't do it himself.
No, he can't.
This is a two-man job. So I intervened. I had a serious thought here of, if I just let him do this, I can just call the funeral home and be done with it. And then I won't have to worry about this anymore. But no, I got the Darth Vader rebreather on, like, you're not doing this by yourself. And I fought with him and told him, you can hold the hose.
If my dad turned up with one of those, I would have said, no, you're going to take that straight back, thank you.
Oh, he already paid us $600 if he just takes it back. He's not going to get to use. He's got his 10 bags of insulation, and he's got his thing he's rented from Lowe's. And the thing he rented from Lowe's, I will post this in the live show chat.
Is that like a hardware store?
Yeah. It's one of that and Home Depot are the 2 generic hardware stores in the U.S.
Yeah, Fern and I are in Bunnings country.
Yeah, it's pretty much only Bunnings. There's a few others, but it's Bunnings.
Oh, we have placemakers in Mitre 10 as well.
Yeah, we've got Mitre 10 and Home.
So we had to rent the blue thing in the hose from Home Depot. And the rental's free if you buy enough insulation. So my dad bought 10 bags of it. And he wanted to use all of it. 10 bags of insulation.
Did you actually need to re-insulate your roof space, or did he just decide to?
It could have used some touching up, but he's under the impression that if he could keep the house cooler with more insulation, then he'll save more on his power bill.
What about his medical bills?
I'm the one he's got to worry about the medical bills. Well, that's a lie.
He was planning to do it himself.
Yeah. So,
and every time he tries to do any work around the house, he ends up in Sodding Hospital.
So, you will notice there are 2 jobs here. One person has to load with, fight with, and punch the hopper. You have to get a bag of insulation, cut it in half, snap it in half, take the half you've got cut in, and then very precisely, quickly with a razor blade, cut the insulation so that it feeds into the hopper. If you cut it wrong, or you cut it too slowly, or you don't let it expand right, it will clump. And that hopper is not just a bunch of blades at the bottom like it should be. For safety reasons, apparently, they have a bunch of scoopy cups that dig into the insulation and pull it into the blades.
And the same thing to your hands, so I'm not sure why I add the extra step.
They'll break your bones, but they won't chop them off.
They'll more rip
and Well, no, they don't spin fast enough. I could block them with my hands. I know. I got whacked by one once.
Oh, okay.
I have a big old bruise on my hand.
Uh-huh.
So the Scoopy Cups get gummed up, and if you don't let it expand right, and if you don't, for the first 4 or 5 bags, I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm having to figure this out as I go. Eventually, I figure it out, but the first 4 or 5 bags, I'm absolutely punching and beating and picking this whole 120-pound contraption up and dunking it back on the ground. And let me tell you, that's a workout. Trying to get these stupid Scoopy Cups unjammed so that the insulation will fall into the blades and go into the finish going its way through the hopper.
So that it can make its way into your lungs.
Yes.
Yeah. So while it's doing this, the Scoopy Cups inside the hopper and the blades themselves are spinning around and throwing this insulation all back in your face.
Yep.
And not to mention the fact you got to hold the stuff in your face while you're pushing it in this contraption. And the guy holding the hose just has to point the hose. The insulation just kind of blows out where it needs to. The guy working the hopper, however, if I did not have a Darth Vader rebreather on, I would be dead.
Yes.
The thing had like a 2.5 filters on it. And I was still hacking up a lung.
Yeah. It essentially, you are aerosolizing glass.
All of this sounds like a terrible idea.
Yes.
So I, in my infinite wisdom, was like, okay, whatever I wear to take care of this thing is probably dead. So I got a robe that I really didn't care about anymore, a bathrobe. I got sweatpants that I really didn't care about anymore. I got a t-shirt that I really didn't care about anymore. All those are in the trash. I did not have any gloves handy. At least no gloves that I could operate a razor blade with. So, my hands I can feel the micro cuts all over my hands. And they hurt like the dickens. It is just pain, nonstop. Do not ever let anybody talk you into messing with this type of insulation. Just go get the blanket kind.
Yeah, go get the bats. Even if it's the fiberglass ones.
So, after 5 hours of this, I'm dead.
Yes.
I'm hacking up a lung, but the insulation's filled, and then we gotta take it back to Lowe's, which is an hour away. Because none of the local Lowe's or Home Depots had a working one of these machines.
Maybe you should have taken the hint.
And, yeah. So, if I come back with, like, perforated lungs that land me in the hospital in a few days because there's a hole that's about to pop in them, you know why.
Well, the real problem with these types of things is they generate scar tissue in your lungs over time until the lungs don't work no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need my air tubes in my lungs to not get sliced off.
Yes, those are important.
Or what are the little fuzzies in your lungs that catch the oxygen?
Also important.
So yeah.
Yeah.
One session of this, while bad, probably won't kill me because I had the rebreather on. But I do not advise anybody ever use insulation for this method. It is painful, it hurts, and if you absolutely must, get a hazmat suit with gloves.
Yes. Proper PPE. It's
I
important.
don't know why you would bother. This seems like the worst choice that you could make. And there's no reason to make this choice.
You picked the worst choice.
I didn't pick any choice.
Well, he picked the
I
worst
intervened.
choice.
I intervened with the quick thinking I could do at the time, which came up awfully quick when on Friday afternoon I'm on my way out the door to work. It's like, my dad's like, oh, by the way, later I'm going to go around to Lowe's and go get a thing to blow insulation in the attic. You're what?
Use the bats. They're better.
Yeah.
In every way.
What's wrong with this putting a blanket down, man? Why they were invented, man, so that you don't have to do this anymore.
But yeah, it sucked.
Yeah? Yeah, it did.
How is
And that-
America simultaneously the most modern country in the world and also the most backward?
Oh, that's easy.
'Cause
Because they lie.
because people like my dad exist.
So, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna have to put him in the ground one day because he did something stupid, and I'm gonna be really sad. But at the same time, I'm gonna be like, I did my best. It would have
You
happened.
tried to keep him. You tried to keep him from suicide by home improvement as long as you could.
Sooner
It's
or
like-
later, you're just not going to be around.
One day he's gonna be 75, 80 years old. I'm gonna be out at work somewhere down on a job site, and I'm gonna get a phone call. Your dad fell out of a tree and broke his neck.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. My only consolation will be, the 14 or so extra innings I got him by intervening every time he tried to do a home improvement project that was clearly going to kill him. I'll take that as a win.
Oh dear. Anyway, what else have you done this week?
Rap battle. Yeah, we talked about the crabs
I
already.
know, but that seems to be most of what you did this week.
The 3 hours of my week was on Crab Champions. Played a little bit of the Blue Archive story, not much. Just what I did at the weekend part of last week.
Robbed a bank.
Robbed a bank. And after that, I pretty much stopped the main story to try and level up some so I could really push the main quest. And I haven't done that yet. I've been too busy at work with just a whole bunch of minor little things and a whole bunch of engineers being retarded. I cannot emphasize how stupid and how much my impression of engineers dips by the day.
But I spent 4 years of my life becoming a qualified engineer.
You can say that all you want. Every time I have to deal with a professional engineer, it is stupider than the last one. And they make dumber and dumber decisions. And I have to call more engineers back every single job and go, hey, this thing you got spec'd here, that ain't gonna work. Hey, 150 feet ahead at 2 horsepower, are you drunk?
The answer is yes.
Yes, probably.
I have
Based on
never.
my experiences with INSOC, that is to say, the Engineering Society of Canterbury, drunk is what they are all the time.
Yeah, I have only ever snapped like that at one engineer who was the pinnacle of retard. I don't even remember what I snapped at him about, but he was snooty and he was acting like a know-it-all. I probably wasn't going to I wound up getting the job actually, which I do remember that part. Mostly because the contractor came back to me and said, hey, you're the guy that fixed it, right?
This guy is a butthole.
Yeah, nobody else wanted to deal with the engineer. They just wanted to go straight to me.
Yeah. Sounds like the guy
And
was just a total butthole.
And at the very beginning of the project, I told that engineer off. I did not care if I lost money.
I thought Georgia Tech was supposed to have a good reputation for producing decent engineers, but
It
clearly
hadn't
not.
it hadn't had a good rep for anything for at least half a decade to a decade. It's been trash. For like they
I mean,
they
in
still
foreign
send
countries, we still talk about Georgia Tech as though it was a good technical school.
they have a good aerospace program still, but that's about it. All the people that go there for aerospace can pretty easily get a job at NASA and keep
We
it.
have a very, well, historically, when I was at university, they had very high standards for engineers that the engineers that produce. Like if you tried to just cruise through, you wouldn't make it. It was really hard. Like
Yeah.
you would spend a lot of long nights working on trying to come up with sort of like original ways of doing things that made sense and could be profitable and that sort of thing. Like it was really hard work. You needed to use a lot of different skills. It wasn't good enough to just pass your exams. You had to be pretty creative as well with a lot of things. It was a tough deal. Almost nobody made it through. Like the first year that I went to engineering school, there were about 350 students. By the end, there were about 150 to 200. Everybody else just completely washed out along the way.
Yeah, it's a mess. I'm gonna swim in the ocean. at the house. But yeah, it's just a mess at work. I don't have any media to talk about. The media I do want to talk about is media I've surprisingly finding myself very excited for, and have moved into the news section because there was a big thing about it this week.
Alrighty. Well, that sounds like a good way to tangent.
Well, tangent, segue, segwangent.
Yeah, tagway.
So, there was a 25-minute presentation that finally gave us some good meat and potatoes on Final Fantasy 16.
No spoilers.
I won't get into anything aside from general gameplay stuff, because that's mostly what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So Yoshi P took the correct approach to difficulty while still maintaining what looks to be a fairly robust action system. He just put a whole bunch of accessories in the game you can equip to make the game play itself for you.
Okay, so you can just customize your difficulty, basically.
Yeah. You can put things in there to like, when your attack's coming at you, it'll slow the attack right before it hits you, and you can tap to dodge. And it makes dodging timing way easier. You don't have to do it in real time. It's got an auto dodge one, and presumably these have all some kind of penalty tied to them as well, but they may not, but I don't really care. I just want a fun action game.
The real Chad move would have been to like call it like bracelets of the game journalist.
Yeah. So this is the ideal for dealing with the difficulty problem. If you're developing a mainstream game but you still want it to have some kick to it. And it has difficulty modes as well on top of that, so I'll be able to crank it up high to medium or high and just keep all that extra crap off and presumably have a pretty good time.
Speaking of, I saw an option in Near Replicant for like auto combat. I was like, "What? Isn't this an action game? Why is there a button for auto combat?"
I don't know.
Apparently, you can only turn it on in easy mode, which I haven't got on, so I don't know what it does. But
I guess it
apparently there's
changes
just like
story mode.
Automated combat, I guess.
Fern, you should come do laps with us at the house.
I'm doing quests.
But you could be swimming laps around a rock.
I could, or I could be watching this very sad, desperate man try to make friends.
Right. So, looking through how the game works for upgrading skills, it looks like you purchase skills and equip them to Clive. And, or you just unlock them for the current, I'm going to call it a style, because that's what they remind me of, the primals or icons you have. It seems like they operate similar to styles, if I'm making an action game comparison in Devil May Cry. And you unlock abilities for them. So, like, I saw like a Helmbreaker equivalent in there in the preview. And you can upgrade these to do more damage or have additional effects and stuff by investing more points into them after you get them. And so it looks like a pretty cool upgrade system. I like upgrade systems that are just unlock the abilities. I don't like boring damage ups or anything like that. I like upgrade systems that really make you have to make a meaningful decision, especially in action games.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well, because like the damage up is always going to be the obvious choice, because it makes you measurably better at everything. So of course you're going to pick it. It's basically a level at which you don't have the opportunity to pick something that will actually change the way you play.
Yeah, but to bring my Devil May Cry, because that's what I know the best, like deciding between like, oh, I could make Stinger penetrate enemies, or I could get Helmbreaker that I haven't unlocked yet, or I could get, Shuffle or something, or maybe Roulette Spin so I have another air combo. All these are meaningful decisions with a little video playing showing you what they do to go, oh, but they all look cool, and I kind of want to try them all, but I only have so much currency. That makes the decision meaningful when you have to give one up to pick another one. And it makes you really want to play with the tool you just got. So you learn to master that tool before you get the next one.
Another similar digression. I noticed that you level up in Near Replicant, but I have no idea if it does anything or if I'm supposed to respond in some way.
I don't pay attention to it. It just makes the dudes die faster is what it seems like.
Yeah, but then they get more health, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Just choke it up to Yoko Taro BS.
So they put leveling system in the design document, and so they had to include one.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for that in Final Fantasy 16. The game looks fluid. The combat looks like you could easily transition between abilities and actions and
You can
combat.
fill an entire hard drive just by installing it.
Yeah,
Probably. It is very pretty. It looks like they're doing a whole lot of big set piece boss battles, which is worrying. But what they showed looked really good for a one-time playthrough. Definitely,
Is it gonna be a PS5 exclusive? Because if it is, I'm gonna kill somebody.
it is for a little bit.
Yeah.
We all know how these PS5 exclusive, how any exclusive deal goes. The only one that's managed to stay PS5 exclusive is Demon Souls. And,
Well, I mean, realistically, that doesn't have any fan base outside PS5 owners anyway.
Yeah. So I am anticipating it will come to PC within 6 to 12 months. Even though
it's 6 to 12 months that I've got to try and avoid full spoilers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about. It's sort of like how I've had to work hard for the past 2 years not to be completely spoiled on the plot of FGO. And still, I've not managed to be completely immune to it because, well, I mean, I have to know the characters so that I know that I'm not dead-ending myself in the meta.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that bad with 16 aside from the month it comes out. I imagine unless it has like, the next I am the storm that is approaching or bang 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 pull my devil trigger as a meme song, I think we'll be okay after about a month.
Yeah, I doubt we'll have a meme song, but you never know.
Soken usually doesn't do meme songs, but meme songs still happen to Soken, like the twinning.
To be fair, it's an absolute banger, so...
It's a banger. It's definitely a banger. It's one of my favourite parts of Eureka Orthos, is getting to hear the variant version of the twinning song. But he got me. It's still a meme song. People view it as a meme song because everybody knows about it.
Speaking of the storm that is approaching, I will spoil one move that I saw in the game. The game has Judgment Nut.
Yay!
And it is not kind of Judgment Nut. It is Judgment Nut.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not exactly a DMC original.
No, but DMC popularized it. It gave it some gas. And
I have to dig out my PS3 again because I have a funny feeling that there's a character who has it in there in Sengoku Basara as well, but I can't remember exactly.
But it's one of the types of. There's apparently multiple things you can do in Odin's stance, and one of them is just Judgment Nut. So looking forward to that in a year. So I got on the hype train with this video. They did a really good job of showing enough of the gameplay on a game that I was kind of not humming and hawing about, but had an optimistic eye on. And I'm looking forward to it now when it eventually comes to PC because I'm not buying a PS5.
Yeah. I don't have that sort of money anyway.
I mean, I have the money,
well,
but I'm not going to.
Technically, yeah, I also have the money, but I'm also not going to.
Like I'm not shy about my finances with people. Like, I have $20K just sitting in the bank doing nothing.
Well, Josh, must be nice not having to pay rent.
Yeah. So, I
mean, I've got Dosh sitting in the bank as well. Like, to be fair, I mean, realistically, I've got about 45K in the bank, not doing anything because I work madman hours. But I would kind of like to have a house one day, but that's like, that's maybe 20% of what you would need to make a deposit.
But yeah, it's
New Zealand has the worst housing market on the planet, by the way. Aside from actual Los Angeles itself.
Yeah.
And Dubai, that's the other place that's more expensive. After that,
Yeah.
New Zealand.
But yeah, I just it's bad to get in the habit of just throwing money around. So unless it's a situation where like my iPad was actually dying and I was worried about the screen just not working anymore. And actually, FGO was the big reason because I'm like, what happens if the screen completely dies and I can't recover my account and get the transfer code?
Yeah, you should probably write that down somewhere.
It's the most ridiculous account binding system in the world. It's not even last gen. It's like, 6 gens ago.
So actually, when I needed to move my FGO account to the new iPad, I just took a screenshot of it and sent it to Vaul and like, don't steal my account, please. Okay, thanks. Because I needed to hide it or have somebody hold it.
Your account's probably still better than mine to this very day. So your rolling luck is just that much better than mine.
I haven't looked at it in.
Did you get Castoria? I don't remember whether you even rolled.
I dumped a whole bunch of quartz into her. I think I got her in the end.
Not that you ever used her for anything.
Yeah, I picked her up because I heard she was like super de-duper necessary, and just kind of leveled her up and stuck her in the.
I would say it's not really that she's necessary as so much as that she warps the meta around her like a black hole. So not having her just has part of the way the game works locked off to you.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that's good old Final Fantasy 16. I'm surprised that I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Did not expect to be.
I didn't expect to be, no. Mainline Square Enix Final Fantasy games have been kind of more missed than hit lately.
Well, I mean, if you look at who developed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We got Yoshi P here. He's got a pedigree of people that have a history in the action game community, and he's got Soken doing the music. This is looking like it's going to be pretty good.
If 15 was made by the Forspoken people,
Yeah. I haven't
is that really a fair comparison?
Yeah. I haven't heard the same rumblings you got around 13 and 15 as well, where it was like, we're going to turn this into a gigantic franchise and all of that nonsense, because no, we're just going to make a video game.
Yeah, that's another thing that's made me kind of hopeful about it, is Yoshi P has never made this out to be some kind of multimedia super friend. He just wants to make video game.
Yeah. I think that, above all things, is what really sent 13 wrong, is they tried to make it too big.
Like, I didn't mind 13. I thought 13 had an okay world.
The thing is that 13 and 13.2 and 13 Lightning Returns and 15 are all the same game originally.
Largely, yes.
They were all supposed to be one game, one sort of mega game, split across 2 games, but instead now you've got 4 games and all of them are mediocre to bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you, of all the Final Fantasy parties, 13 has the most slappable cast. They all need a good, solid smack upside the head.
I think that the reason for that is that, and I get pushback for this, but I feel like 13's cast is the most realistic. Like, they're most like real people.
Yeah.
That is to say, they're all obnoxious and incredibly biased in favour of their own agenda, and none of them act like heroes. None of except for the guy who acts conspicuously like a hero and ends up looking like the sort of person who was running around calling themselves a hero in real life. Like, I think that the character writing is in some ways a little bit true to life.
Although,
like the things that happen in the character interactions are the sort of things that would happen if somebody tried to behave that way in real life. In a lot of cases.
Yeah. Looking at you, Hope. You whiner.
But I mean, he's a teenage kid.
Yeah.
Teenage kids are always obnoxious. Every Final Fantasy mainstream game is replete with teenage characters, but only in Final Fantasy 13 is the token teenager just completely insufferable, the way a real teenager would be.
Yeah. And at last, when he gets called out of it, his character growth lasts all of 30 seconds, and then he just reverts back to annoying again. I didn't actually finish the game, so I don't know if it actually catches up to him again. But yeah.
Yeah.
I legit have not caught a single fish here. Aristeel's just hooking fish after fish, and I can't even get one.
Yeah, but 13 had some good characters, even if they did need a good smack upside the head. But the rest of the world was completely incomprehensible. I didn't.
As long as you don't play Lightning Returns, if all the development for those characters, just throw it out the window for Lightning Returns.
Yeah. I heard that criticism is basically 13's character growth just doesn't matter.
Well,
everybody except Lightning is basically dead by that point in the story, aren't they?
They're functionally immortal, and they've lived for thousands of years or something.
But don't they like all turn to stone or some crap over the course of the games?
Something. We need to punch God with the power of friendship and remake the universe.
Because God told us to.
There's a lot that I don't remember about 13 too. Like, I played it, and I actually even enjoyed it, but nothing that happened made any sense to me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, I felt like it was a really strong development of what I feel like, because I actually really like 13's combat system. I think it's got a lot to commend it.
Mm-hmm.
And 13.2 was a reasonable iteration on that, but nothing in the storyline made any sense at all. No. It was total madness.
So yeah, I still don't know if it was like they were on two different planets or it was a Hollow Earth thing or what at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, that's 13, and then you got 15, which was just train. It was just a train wreck the whole way through.
Yeah.
So many shoes with that game. I don't know if at one point the director wanted to make it a musical is actually true or not, but I could believe it with how just jumbled of a mess that thing is.
Making it a musical would probably be an improvement. A very, very silly improvement.
I need to find a zone I can actually catch fish in, because I'm not catching any here.
Oh, I'm just fishing to fish. I'm not going for anything here. I'm just.
Well, it's not a matter of going for anything. I physically cannot pull a fish out of the water.
You didn't catch one?
No, not even one. They all get away, every single one.
Yes.
I wish it would tell me what level these fish are for a leveling.
That would be
nice.
The
fish are like level 62. But
that would explain why I can't catch any, wouldn't it?
But I don't know if that translates into the fishing level you need.
Alright, as far as other bits of news, there wasn't a whole lot really that happened. It was Final Fantasy 16 and it was the Mario movie, which has been doing gangbusters.
Yeah,
but is it doing, I'm sort of curious, is it doing gangbusters with like our generation's man-children or with Zoomers?
It seems to be both. I know every Zoomer I know went and watched it.
Yeah. But it's been fun watching mainstream movie critics try to talk about things, because all it is basically it's just Mario doing Mario things. That's the plot of the movie.
There are two criticisms that the mainstream media has of it, and both of them run along the same axis. Mm-hmm. One of them is they really don't like Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, they do not like Chris Pratt.
Yeah, they don't like him because he's Chris Pratt.
It's because he does not toe the line.
He's not part of he does not conform to the message, and he does not toe the party line.
He has said, I disagree.
He doesn't wear the MAGA hat in public. He's nowhere near that, but he definitely doesn't play ball.
Yeah, he's not a MAGA hat, but
he doesn't play ball with the lefty agenda.
Yeah, he does his own thing, and I respect him for that.
Yeah. The other criticism is in the same line of it's not woke enough.
Yeah. When you get the guy who played Luigi in the god-awful 90s Mario movie saying it's not woke enough, therefore I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, saying that it needs more Mexican and Latino representation for the Italian plumbers.
Yeah, we remember how you acted, how bad that movie was. Your opinion has no relevance here.
You shut up, Luigi Mario.
But yeah, that's everything that I've seen a review of that I kind of follow of this. Is basically said it's doesn't push any agenda. It's just basically Mario doing Mario things, and it's just fun.
Yeah, that's the general impression I get from it too.
Mm.
The closest thing to any type of wokeness is Peach is a straying female character.
Peach is kind of a bit of a girl boss. Yeah, it's kind of.
Are you trying to say that she doesn't get kidnapped by Bowser?
No, that's Luigi this time.
Yeah.
Oh, so Luigi gets kidnapped by Bowser.
Yeah, well, Luigi gets kidnapped by Bowser too sometimes, so...
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's not out of common character. It's just whenever Bowser feels like a change, he'll kidnap Luigi instead.
But apparently, Bowser is down bad for Peach the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was the whole. I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah,
that was the point of Bowser.
He's got it bad.
I don't know what Peach ever did to deserve any of this, but
nothing.
I mean, she is blonde.
Yeah, she is blonde and is a princess, and that's basically her whole character sheet.
Yeah, and that's apparently enough for Bowser, who is Dragon Turtle who wants princess. That's his whole character sheet.
Jack Black apparently does really good as Bowser. Everybody praises his performance.
I wasn't expecting him actually to be able to do good. I was expecting Bowser to be too loud and wacky with Jack Black in it, but apparently not. I haven't actually had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to.
I haven't either.
Even Jack Black occasionally has to play as somebody other than Jack Black in a movie.
Yeah, he's done a few. He's actually done a couple of serious movies, which is kind of odd when you see him in those. But yeah, he can do serious, and he can tone it down.
Don't worry, he's being incredibly dunked upon for his involvement in The Mandalorian.
He's in The Mandalorian?
Apparently.
Apparently they're stripping everything good out of The Mandalorian.
He plays Lizzo's love interest. I'm not even kidding.
Poor Jack Black.
That's what I've heard. I haven't watched it, but basically he's Lizzo's love interest. I'm not comparing the actress to Lizzo. It actually is Lizzo.
Oh dear.
Poor Jack Black.
All of Lizzo.
That's basically what I've been hearing about the new Mandalorian series. Essentially, it boils down to Disney happened.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody seems to be enjoying the new Mario movie. The critics hate it. It had something like a 40% critic score to like a 98% audience score.
Yeah, because they're thinking, oh, it's for kids and it's got plot. There's no plot, and it's just Mario doing Mario things. There is no plot in Mario games. It's usually like there be turtle, go stomp on.
Everybody knows that Zoomers can't pay attention to a plot line longer than a TikTok film anyway.
Exactly. So why bother?
Is coconut gun. Well, fire and
that's
the DK rap being in the movie has sent people off the. Oh yeah, it's in the movie.
Oh, that's
it's actually
disturbing.
It was actually a big debacle because they didn't credit Grant Kirkhope with being the original author of the DK rap.
Oh, whoopsie.
Yeah, big whoopsie.
Big whoopsie. Although YouTube threw a curveball at me the other day. It was the DK rap with Monster Hunter monkeys.
I sent you the Coconut Gun remix.
Yeah, you sent me the Coconut Gun remix. So yeah, I'm gonna actually sit down and watch the Mario movie when I get a chance. I've been meaning to do it with the Sonic movies as well, but I'm not in a huge rush to those because.
Well,
yeah.
Jim Carrey as Robotnik is at least as far out there as Jack Black as Bowser.
Yeah.
Anytime I think of Jack Black, though, I just think of him in Tenacious D.
Yes. Which is Jack Black at his Jack Blackiest. Except for Brutal Legend, where he is Jack Black as Jack Black playing Jack Black.
I've never actually watched the movie all the way through, but for some reason I think of him as Nacho Libre. The Nacho Libre guy. I haven't watched it. I've only seen bits of it, but for some reason that's that image of Jack Black that sticks in my mind.
Yeah, I mean it's a movie about luchadors. What more do you need to know?
It's specifically for some reason when I think of Jack Black, I think of the scene in Tenacious D where they're fighting the devil, and they start their song, and he turns to Kay and he goes, You're gonna goggle mayonnaise.
Of all the lines in that movie, that's the one that sticks with you.
Because it's the dumbest line I've ever heard.
Yeah. And aside from that, honestly, that's it for the news. Like, there's a few other things, like WotC is continuing to smolder, but at this time they've been burning for that long. That's not really news.
Yeah, I wonder what their internal metrics actually look like.
Well, we actually got some numbers on their movie, by the way. Mario is way out in front currently, and then you got John Wick. The D&D movie, it had a good, solid first week, and now it's like 6th in its second week.
I've heard that it's actually not too bad in a mediocre kind of way.
Yeah,
It's just very average. It's like
fine.
perfectly watchable average along the way.
It's
Like
fine.
it doesn't do anything to like grievously offend anybody, which is a pretty big accomplishment considering WotC's involved.
Yes. But considering all they've been doing, they shot themselves in the foot, both by launching it into the face of both Mario and John Wick, of all things. But just all the nonsense that WotC's been doing around the movie, they've sabotaged themselves. And they continue to sabotage themselves. Ugh. At this point,
Dadgummit, Edge.
Yeah.
Did you make yourself my default web browser when I checked the email today?
probably yes, it does do that.
I use Edge as
Oh.
my default browser.
Edge.
Go back to Brave.
I use Brave on my phone.
I went back to Firefox. Brave got annoying.
Firefox.
Because there was a patch to Brave a while back, and where it exploded in just layering everything with crypto bro shit.
I
You
haven't
turn all that
noticed.
crap off in settings.
Yeah, I had, but then it updated and turned it all back on because nah.
Yeah, but Brave is the only one that doesn't track you and doesn't filter your results.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's honestly it. There's really been not a whole lot happening this week. Unless you want to talk about Starfield getting delayed again.
No, in other news, the sky is wet.
Yeah, the sky. Wait,
Guys, not in Australia. It's not.
not in Australia. It's not.
It's very wet right now for me. It's been raining nonstop. We had a big old storm blow in from the Atlantic.
Oh yeah. We've actually got a cloud cover over today. We're getting a bit of a cold snap, so yeah, maybe the sky is moist.
Oh, right. You guys are in the opposite season.
Yes, we are. You're on the opposite side of the world, so opposite season.
I always forget this, and I'm reminded of it every time we change seasons.
Because yeah, we're on the other one.
Oh, usually in spring, fall, I don't notice, but as it approaches summer/winter, I'm like, all right, y'all are backwards.
Yes. All right. In that case, shall we wrap up and get out of here?
Yep, that's all I got.
Alrighty. Let's just do the shing.
All right.
Yeah.
Email topic of the week: has Fern's microphone problems persisting? Are they fixed?
It's been behaving. I've kept an eye on it. I made a few tweaks early on, and that seems to have adjusted things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know. Is it possible for OBS to have a different noise gate or something?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, that's how I have it set up, because otherwise, it would start picking up a lot of the unfiltered background noise.
Yeah, I have it set up that way too for mine,
Yeah.
with a separate noise gate.
Yeah,
So
Discord
you don't
filters
hear
that out by
my-
default, but OBS does not.
Yeah, I didn't think the world wanted to keep hearing my vape, so
Well, we just did.
No. Did we? I didn't. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I had to put it very close. Discord's noise gate is very tight.
Yeah. All right. Wrap us down.
All right, folks. Serathis, I see you're still playing. Oh, you've made some progress on Leviathan and changed to Warrior. Tell us how that's going. I know it was supposed to be a surprise, but you posted your server info in your UI.
It's up in the corner there.
Yeah,
So-
this is not how clandestine operations are supposed to happen.
Don't worry, you're
So-
not the first one to be caught out that way. Like literally every Twitch stream has been caught like that.
If your objective was to infiltrate us and report us to the FBI, don't worry, they already know.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Iris actually because of her one attempt to stream Final Fantasy 14,
Oh,
and
dear.
basically everybody ruined it for her. Like she was extremely rigorous at hiding everything that could identify her, and people just canvassed all of the servers until they found her and then swarmed her constantly for the entire stream.
When your audience is big enough, that's gonna happen. It's a shame too, because it's always good seeing new people experience this game.
Well, it can be.
It can be.
It can be a little bumpy for some. It was bumpy for me.
Yeah, admittedly, the first playthrough, going through the Realm Reborn content, it can be a bit bumpy.
Yeah, like I had many starts and stops before I finally got enough gas in the tank just to get over the hump I was stuck on.
Yeah. I guess I can't relate because it was current content when I was playing it, so everything was sort of fresh and kind of novel. And what WoW was putting up as competition was not terribly impressive.
It was one step above grey paste.
Yeah.
And I think that there is no small significance to the fact that Ari had picked WoW for good by the time he was able to properly settle into FF14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also in the mood for a story game at the time. When I started my first stops, I was not in the mood for a story game at all. But once I was in the mood for a story game and didn't have WoW hanging over me, it was much easier to just power over that hump.
Such a spectre. Like World of Warcraft, it just sort of it lurks in the back of your consciousness if you haven't properly got rid of it.
But once you cut that chain, it's really like cutting a chain. It's like you're free. Like, you can move again. You can play what you want. You're not beholden to anything. Responsibilities you thought were important, you realize just didn't matter. And it's like you're 20 pounds lighter mentally.
Yeah. Alright.
It's a great liberating feeling. Quit WoW.
Do the thing.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.